And all right, so I'm pasting a somewhat formatted chat or agenda into the chat. And so our first item is signage for campus bins. So we have these great signs that Deb had helped us put together. And Deb, I know I sent you an email earlier today. Did we find out if we have those fasteners, those double-sided tape fasteners?
We ordered some this morning, so
Okay, perfect.
whatever we have is not enough. So Nick will take care of it as soon as we get it.
Awesome. Is when they do come in, just shoot me an email, and I know Cody has volunteered to help out.
Okay.
And I have those signs right now. They're locked up in the classroom. I'm teaching in M402.
Okay.
Sure that folks can get you in there, but I can get you in there too if you need me to. But we are in week 4 of Recyclemania, week 4 out of 8. So the sooner we can get those signs up, the better.
Okay.
And I'm going to talk a little bit more about Recyclemania in a few minutes, but unless anybody has anything else about the bins or about the signage for the bins, we'll move on to our next item, which is for Christina. And I see that Christina has Chris with her as well. Overloaded outlets on campus. So please take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Christian, and thanks to the rest of the green team for having me. I was in a meeting earlier with Chris, so I asked him to stick around because he sees a little bit more of this, or he sees it differently than I do, probably more acutely than I do. Just been hearing, I think Dave Moran is pretty aware of this, that we just have folks on campus that have some creature comforts and things. I totally understand it, but it's becoming a bit problematic. So just as an example, everybody really likes to have a refrigerator and a Keurig and a microwave and the more that you do that, the more strain you have. Right? And sorry, can you hear me okay? I'm sorry, Roberta.
You are kind of breaking up a little bit, but I've got an earbud in, so I think I can probably hear a little bit better than some.
It's okay. Don't be sorry. I'm trying to figure out what you're saying.
Well, we'll see. Chris will hop on and then we'll use his computer and then I'll turn mine off. Hold on just a second.
And Roberta, for the record, you sounded great when you unmuted. So when you're ready to give your presentation, like, no worries, just plow ahead. We can all hear you well.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Sounds much better. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So we just have a number of kind of those smaller units that are being utilized by different people on campus. And, we get it that people want to have their things, but we've tried to have spaces where there's those shared units, so large refrigerators, microwaves, things like that. And I'm just wondering to what extent the green team could be helpful to us in trying to dissuade folks from having those smaller units and to take advantage of the spaces where there are larger, shared, hopefully more green, or at least in more electricity sort of conscious units on campus. And I also, I admit that there are probably spaces that don't have access to those shared things. So how might we pair people up where there is capacity to do that? Or if there's a space where it just makes sense for us to purchase something to invest, where might we do that? So those are the things I'm thinking about. But I don't know, you probably have.
Yeah, and I'll defer to Dave because this has been a long-standing issue. Certainly somebody comes here and they might not think I'm in a, let's say, second floor, a field office, and they have a personal radio, and then they have a charger, and then they have a little mini fridge, and then they have their personal Keurig because it's easier than walking to Burke's Cafe. And they might think, okay, well, since no circuits ever blown, my surge protectors don't, I'm okay and I'm not taking up too much extra energy. Meanwhile, 2 doors down, somebody else every time they turn on their light. And I know this has been a long-standing issue for Dave, being one shift at the college, it's hard for facilities as opposed to second and third shift where we could go around, unplug things, turn off lights, kind of do that energy conservation. So whether there are certain areas that are identified as, you know, like outside Trio or Burke's Cafe or like all these areas where we definitely want to have people have places to bring lunches, or we've even seen microwaves in offices, and it's kind of one of those, oh, when someone else got it, someone else gets one, and before you know it, we go to do a project to install new AC or something, and we find our electrical loads taken up, and now it's a $50,000 upgrade. And I'll let Dave speak more, but it's one of those. And I saw it at Westfield State too. Obviously, it was different with dorms, but once it starts creeping in, everybody brings in and plugs in everything.
Yeah,
Sure,
so,
well, sorry, Dave, you go ahead. You know more about this than I do.
certainly when we talk about creature comforts, in within anyone's space, if you're talking about a fan, if you're talking about phone chargers, if you're talking about something that's, small load, that's one thing. But again, as it has already been, talked about with the small appliances, we see everything in some spaces from microwaves, refrigerators, Keurigs, coffee pots, toasters, toaster ovens, and then of course the jackpot is usually personal space heaters. Certainly if anyone is seeing problems in their space where they are cold, let facilities know. We'll investigate it. We'll, address the issues and certainly try to bring everything at the very least up to, the comfortable operating level. And if there is something wrong, with the heat in the space, we can address that. As Chris has mentioned, is that a lot of the circuits, a lot of times you have offices. It's not that there's one circuit like for one office. A lot of times it's one circuit shared for 2 or 3 offices, and then much like it takes 100 pennies to make a dollar, all of these loads start adding up. So while a person is in their own space, while it's like, well, gee, for me to run my Keurig or throw microwave popcorn in the microwave isn't a big deal. Once you start adding it up over the course of 2, 3, or maybe more offices, as well as the timing of it, a lot of times, like if somebody has a little small cube refrigerator in a space, well, it may not be running at the same time when one of the other offices has something running or has the space heater running, but the times are going to line up one of these days, and then when everything's running at once, higher loads, and then before you know it, we have circuit breakers tripping, and it becomes problematic. As Chris had mentioned, this is something for me that I've been at the school just over 10 years now, and one of my first jobs when I came here was to do an energy audit across the school and what people had in their offices. And some of the results were quite eye-opening and surprising. And just from the green standpoint, is that certainly like when we did the Hawthorne Melville building renovations, is that the hope was by having the common spaces, by having the teachers lounge in the middle toward the connector, was that it was going to be a common space. It was going to be where people would go to, to be able to use the refrigerator, the freezer in there, to use the microwave, to use coffee pots, Keurigs, things of that nature. And I think that things veered away from that a little bit. But again, certainly from the standpoint of energy usage, being green, something the green team is near and dear to our heart. We utilize solar panels on the roofs of our buildings to try to offset our usage. So, it's a multi-tiered discussion, both, certainly from the facilities level of overloading circuits, as well as from the green team level from the school, trying to be as green as possible and reduce our overall electrical consumption and carbon footprint.
And then just one thing I'll add to that, like on top of everything Dave just said, because of where we are at this end of town and water pressure and lack of a water tower, a very small percentage of the campus is sprinklered. So if there were to be a fire in one of those areas, it would be a wait until the fire department shows up. That we only have a certain percentage of the campus that is sprinklered. So in a worst case scenario, you're talking extensive damage potentially.
Well, I'd like to hear some thoughts from some other green team members, but my first thought is that as a green team, we could put out a communication of some sort, kind of encouraging people to use those public spaces more, perhaps turn in their microwaves and refrigerators, things like that. Um, with Earth Day sort of coming up, we could even tie that in with the Earth Day, like, hey, here's, you want to do something to help the planet and to help the campus. Think about like how many microwaves are there? If you have a microwave in your office, or one of these Keurigs or a refrigerator, is there a shared one that you can use that might have more room? And I know there are shared appliances like this all over campus. We could maybe put together a list of those common areas on the Green Team website and list like which ones are appropriate for students, which ones are appropriate for faculty and staff, so that at least people have information to know this is where I can go. Um, as a green team, those are the first ideas that I have. Does anybody else have any ideas or any more thoughts from Chris, Christina, or Dave on maybe something else that I might be missing?
Hi, guys. The quickest thing I thought of is, we have those, I can't remember what they're called, but the monitors that tell students a lot of, information about things that are going on. Why can't we get a real simple infographic up there? But they're easy to find. I was popping around on the internet just now and finding them that just say how to save energy in your office, just to get the consciousness going. Just an idea.
Sure. Roberta, we could work together and try to get something on the Green Team website.
I have something to add. This is my first meeting and I hope to be able to join other meetings. The time just worked for me today and this is a fascinating topic. And Christian, I would love to join you and Roberta because that seems like a worthy project. If the graphic is going to show the locations where people can use shared spaces, I'd love to think that everybody is altruistic in saving energy, but also maybe just like the 3 benefits. Not only is it saving energy, but did you know you're affecting other people's power, like in some way? Did you know that when you do that, that there are repercussions on campus? And then also, we encourage people to, I don't know if this is inappropriate, but when you walk to a space, you're stretching, you're getting out of your office and like the benefit of that too. But, that's sort of like perfect world, but not only the spaces, but the benefits to it and the purpose.
So I think what I'm hearing is there's a small group of people that seem to have some ideas, Tina, Roberta. What I think I'll do is I'll put together like a really informal email task force and see if we can get something up on the Green Team website, a list of these common areas, these reasons why you should use them. I know we did something like this, similar, but along a different lines with trash bins in offices. So and honestly, I think that that's been super successful and that people really like it. It's kind of the same idea. Why do we all need a trash bin when there's, a big trash bin in the hall? Why do we all need a microwave and a Keurig and a fridge when there's all these common areas that are available? So unless anybody has any ideas, I'll get that started over the next couple days. And Tina and Roberta, anybody else who's here want to be a part of that? Just raise your hand, let me know, or shoot me an email if you want to let me know too. I know we all have an awful lot to do, but it sounds like Chris, Christina, Dave, if that sounds like a good way to proceed, I think that's what we've come up with as a group.
Thank you for the support.
Sure. And I see Deb has a hand up and then Tammy.
Yeah, I can help you with that as well.
Great, Deb, I'm putting you on the list.
Okay.
And Tammy, did you have something to add? Tammy, if you're trying to say, looks like you were unmuted, but we couldn't hear anything. feel free to use the chat. And Tina, I see your question in the chat. Do we have a list already of shared spaces? I don't think we do, but I don't think that list would be all that hard to come up with. I think the most difficult part is trying to figure out like who can use what areas. For example, I can think of the faculty lounge around the corner from the connector, but that's not an area that students could make use of unless they have special permission. So we would also have to, make a section for who, figure out a way to organize the information so it's easy to see who has access to each space. Like space for students, like I'm thinking of Trio right away. But that's a job for the task force unless somebody else has something to add. Dave, I saw you unmuted, so feel free.
Yeah, and when you talk about students, it's like up in the connector, they had just purchased a glass front refrigerator unit for student use up there. That's only been in place for about 2 weeks now. Certainly they have the microwave up there. So up in the academic buildings, we do have spaces that are conducive for student usage. As you said, Trio is always a popular area down in SBA as well. So there are those spaces are presently available, and as you had mentioned, if we can compile a map and like a campus map to identify those locations, I think it will really go a long way to inform everyone. Not only now currently, but as we move forward as well. We have student turnover every year, obviously, with new students coming to campus. More so than ever with the new programs that we have on campus. So I think that'll be a living document. And, as we examine, the campus footprint and, maybe adding some spaces for students as well, I think it would be beneficial.
Awesome. Well, when we get our first draft together, we'll have you experts go over what we come up with to make sure that it's complete and accurate, and we'll go from there. So unless anybody has something else to add on the overloaded outlets on campus, going to move on to our next item. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Christina. Thanks, Dave. All right, so our next item is, and this will be pretty quick, is the battery recycling program that we've been trying to get going. Just to bring everybody up to speed, I saw that Williams has a pretty robust battery recycling program, so I reached out to the people who are in charge of that. And to make a long story short, everybody kind of freaked out. They were like, I don't know if we can do that. And they were coming up with more reasons not to do it than to do it. So I think we're going to have to hold off on that. And connected to that, Cody, I think that I mentioned to you that it is budgeting season where folks are drawing up their budgets. And if you build something into your budget, the college will give you money up front for it. So Cody, I was hoping that you could try to build this into the next fiscal year of budget for Green Team. So it's just a line item, something that the Green Team can keep doing year after year.
Yeah, so 2 notes on that. We do have final confirmation that we have received $1,000 for this fiscal year. So that gives us a bit more to play around with than we thought we did. So we can certainly, I think, with that afford at least a little pilot battery recycling bin that we're going to purchase from one of the vendors, see how full that gets in a window of time, and then hopefully define, how much we might need for that if we had that ongoing for like, let's say, a whole semester or the next fiscal year or whatever. So we're going to be moving on that hopefully soon to purchase that and get that started, and then use that to inform the rest of the budget.
Great. I would say whenever you're ready, since you have access to the budget, feel free to go ahead and pull the trigger on that. It's something we've been trying to get off the ground for years. So in the meantime, I'm just kind of being quiet with the folks that I asked here at Williams about it. Maybe they'll have a change of heart, although I don't know. Like it was not the reaction I anticipated, to be sure. There are battery recycling bins in just about every building, and it's pretty much all over the place. So any other things to add on battery recycling before we go on to our next topic? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. So our next topic is from Jeremy, and I have the title as Campus QR Code Tour. So Jeremy, it's over to you.
All right, thanks everybody. Excuse me. Oh boy. About a year ago, Tom Tanning and I got together and we're kicking around this idea of creating a virtual tour on campus. If you've ever been to like a lot of museums have these where there's like some kind of code next to the artwork and you can scan it and then it will give you a whole bunch of information about that piece of art. And so we thought it would be a great idea to do it with an environmental sort of bent on it on campus. So we have a lot of sort of outdoor exhibits and indoor exhibits. And then we started thinking bigger and thinking, well, there are other things, right? Instead of just labeling trees and rocks and things, we can talk about recycling programs. We can talk about the solar panels. We can talk about, sort of all of these things, energy efficient light bulbs, right? Anything that we were doing. And then it sort of became this idea about doing it across sort of the whole campus, right? Everything we do that's sort of environmentally thinking. So it'll be exhibits and things of trees and specimens outside, but also practices and policies and things. And we would have these all, we would put little placards around with little QR codes that would bring you to the website and then a little number for the exhibit number. And let me actually, can you let me share? These would all go to a website, and this is just like scratching it up. This is just like throwing it up there. So essentially, and these are all just placeholders, right? We would have like exhibits 1 through 20, or the nature trail, and then the environmental center, the west side of campus, the east side, the field house, the green power and recycling. And these would be changed, but and then essentially we would go and you'd be able to open these up, right? You hit this little arrow and it would open up and you'd have all the little exhibits you could click on. And then you would have the information. So Tom Tanning and I had a little fun. We just sort of made a couple of little mock entries. So this would be sort of the kind of thing you would see in the entry. There'd be like a photo, some descriptive text, a few links at the bottom for more information. We've got one here about swallow nests. So that would sort of be how this would all be set up. And then we were thinking we would also sort of tag these with little icons so that you could see quickly sort of, which if you're looking only for waste programs, right, you could look through and just grab the ones that are tagged with this. And they would have these little plastic markers on them that the Science Commons believes that they can produce. They have some instructions for producing these out of plastic, so that would be pretty cool. And the idea is that like essentially we would be able to, it would be like very co-curricular in that it would be sort of an exhibit. Students could walk around campus and learn more about the things that are going on. Tom and Bruce are both sort of involved with this project and have both are conceiving of ways to build this into their classes. Updating content is one of their assignments, which would be great. We're thinking that also it's people from off campus could come and use it, right? It's just a website, anybody can use it, might draw people into campus. But it sort of also becomes this place where we can gather up and create a historical record of a lot of the work that's being done by the campus and very frequently through this committee in a lot of ways. There are things that have been done here that if you go to our website, it can be hard to find them sort of after a certain amount of time. They sort of fall off the newsfeed. So this could become some sort of archive where we could capture that and sort of keep getting credit for it. And then the other thought, right, is that you could, if you're sort of outside, if you're Ellen and you're going out to Boston and there's a legislator who's like, what are you guys doing about renewable energy out there in Berkshire? She can pull up this website and be like, here you go. Look, here's all the things we're doing, right? It's a way to market it. If any of you go to a conference and you run into one of your peers out there who's like, oh, what do you guys do about recycling? Bam, right here it is. Here's our website. Here's a bunch of resources. Start here, right? So that's kind of the project. And I think that we have a little working group together. And the thought is that we would sort of generate a whole bunch of the content to start. But it needs a home. It needs to be institutionalized in a way that makes it sustainable, right? And having it live with a person doesn't do that, right? The projects that live with a person die with a person, right? And so I was hoping that to convince this group that they would sort of take over stewardship of it once we get it up and running. And then they would also become, since most of these things end up flowing through this group at one point or another, sort of new initiatives, You would also become the contact people for adding content and sort of updating content as it goes forward. So as a new proposal comes through, you would say, oh, this feels like, you know, placard worthy. We should put it on the website and get a number up for it somewhere. And then you would sort of manage it from there once we sort of get the initial setup done. So that's kind of the ask. That's the project. That's the ask. And I see there's a couple of things in chat. Let me stop sharing.
Yeah, it looks like Roberta's really excited about this. It's very similar to some of the other projects she's done on campus. And
So
Tina
for
has a
Tina,
question.
yeah, this is not a campus tour with a green lens. This is a tour. This is a right. This is not like a freshman student. All of them would just take this tour. No, no, no. This is like a right, like just the sites of environmental interest on campus.
And I'm just thinking of the technical aspect of it. While it would be awesome to have this all on the BCC website, that could become tricky. Like, I don't know if I think there was some folks who were thinking about maybe switching our website to a different provider. And if that happens, there's a chance that the QR codes could stop working. So this might be more of a thing to put on one of our blog websites where we have more direct control over the URLs, because the URLs are what the QR codes are going to point to. But yeah, I think this is a really great project. And you know, speaking as one of the co-chairs of the Green Team, I think this fits well within our purview. So, Jeremy, really, however you need help, whenever you need help, just reach out to the Green Team leadership, which right now it's myself, Cody, Linda Mary, and Sean Regan, and just shoot us all an email and we'll find a way to make it happen.
Sure, and just on that vein, just real quick, our time frame, we're looking at having the initial bit of content up sort of by the end of summer. We're hoping for an August/August launch of this website. So then sort of we would ask you at that point, sort of starting in September, once we do the initial launch, to then, you know, take over flying the plane once we get it up in the air.
Awesome. Yeah. And in the meantime, like, just let us know if you need any help. I think it's a great idea. Does anybody else have any comments or any thoughts related to this?
Yeah, I mean, I had already spoken with Jeremy and also thought it was a great idea, and can definitely help with like any of the technical side of it, or, you know, helping get that on our blogs or wherever we need to get it, whatever ends up working for that. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe the website would make more sense, but if the website's gonna, I know sometimes it's hard to actually move stuff around on the website and keep the URL the same, which is the main reason why I'm thinking one of the blogs might actually be a better place.
So I have talked with Jonah about this. We sort of have a plan on that end.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah, and so I think
Great.
we're going to be good on that side.
Sounds like you have that covered then. I'll just let you run with it. And whenever you're ready for help from the Green Team, or even kind of take over the as contact and ownership of it, just reach out, let us know.
Yeah, so that's the other thing, right? On the page, we would have a, like, you know, like if you have a submission idea, or you find an error, or you want to know more or whatever, there should be a contact person. So it would eventually we'll make it you all, as long as you're willing to serve as that, right? So
Great.
do you have like a green team at Berkshire CC? Is that?
We don't, but we probably should. So I'm going to add that to our list too, because I know we have a bunch of projects where that would come in handy. We could easily put together a group email that goes just to the Green Team leadership. That's an IT ticket. I'll make that happen.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. In fact, I think we might already have a group that didn't meet our needs for some other purpose. So I might just be able to just do it and make it happen and then start using it. All right. Any other thoughts on Jeremy's campus QR code tour idea? All right. I'm not seeing any. So our next item that we have up is Recycle Mania Campus Race to Zero Waste. And I see that we have two of our helpers here right now. I see Jen and I see Cody. And I know Sean is doing some days as well, and I'm doing a day. So, but between the four of us, I think we have all days during the week covered. And I do have, even though it's somewhat temporary, I'm going to share my screen, and you should be able to see that. This is the diversion category by rank, and if you look, we are currently in second place, quite a ways behind Seattle University, which is okay. But I was talking to Cody about this before we started, and one of the main reasons I think that we are number two is because we just had our shredded paper pickup that was reported last week, which is a lot of recycled paper. So we'll be reporting on week 3 very soon, and then we're in week 4 right now, so we've still got about a month and a half left to go of checks and rankings. But so far, I think it goes without saying that it certainly exceeds my expectations. Dave, it looks like you have your hand up.
Yeah, just real quick, I was just wondering, how much of an effect do you think that the reduction in composting is playing into that number? You know, in years
Yeah,
past where we had a lot larger composting presence, you know, going back pre-COVID when the cafeteria was still in play.
good question. It definitely is having an impact, and there's actually a web page on the Green Team website um, that lists all of our numbers for all the previous years' competition. And our numbers did kind of go down initially, especially with COVID. Um, but it's a little hard to say. We certainly have a lot of paper recycling going on, but without the composting, I've just had to report 0 the past several years actually for just about every week on composting. And it would certainly be great something to do again, but I know that the landscape of campus is very different now when we're not running a cafeteria. We've got outside vendors coming in. Um, but yeah, it has an impact. It's hard to say exactly what impact though. Okay, any other thoughts on Recyclemania or anything related to that? Okay, next item is, and I'm just going to mention this super quickly, is campus cleanups. Usually the green team does a community cleanup in April at some point. And in our last meeting, we talked about 2 possible locations, Crosby Elementary or Dorothy Amos Park. Both of those are right down the street on West Street. And it's still a little early, so I haven't reached out to anybody, but in the next couple weeks, I'm going to reach out probably to the elementary school first and see if they would welcome us onto their school to do this. We usually do it on a Saturday, get together around like, I don't know, 9, 10 a.m. and go for a few hours and clean up as much trash and stuff as we can. It's been a real fun event in the past, especially when the weather is cooperating. And we'll do it again this year. So more on that as we approach it, but I just wanted to keep mentioning it because it's something that we're going to be trying to do again. And also sort of related to that is our next topic, Earth Day. I haven't done this yet, but I'm going to reach out to student events, and I'm going to see if they want to do the Plant One on Us event that we've done the past several years along with them, where people plant seeds and bring them home for herbs and all kinds of stuff. And Earth Day this year it's on a Monday. It's Monday, April 22nd, and so those kind of related because they're both April and they're both events that we work on. But I wanted to let everybody know that those are coming up. So our last official item on the agenda, if no one else has anything to say about Earth Day and community cleanups, is Roberta's updates. So Roberta, whenever you're ready, I know you always have a bunch of projects going on between the Pollinator Community Garden and the Nature Trail and Hoffman. So Roberta, it's your portion of the program.
Okie dokie. Okay, Green Up Your Workspace, which was first called Green Up Your Office, but we changed the name in 2020. I'm propagating plants for a few people right now, and usually they don't get delivered until the weather is warm. So if there are people that are interested in Green Up Your Workspace, you can go back to on the Green Team blog. There's all kinds of great information about it. I think we put that on there in 2019. I'm not sure, but it's way down on the blog somewhere for the Green Team blog. And the plant that usually gets propagated at the top is called pothos because it's the best indoor air cleaner. Number 2, Hoffman funding proposal. I've been in communication with Gina Steck, who is the person that helped do all the grant, or will put a lot on her shoulders. I'm sure getting the raised beds for the original garden that Katie and Kevin worked on by the former cafeteria. So those are the kind of beds we're looking to get, but lower. And the dark color ones are up at Hoffman. Some things have had to go on hold with it for a time because there's so many pieces that need to come together. It's kind of a long-term project. I still need help with the calculations for the square footage on the south side of Hoffman. I don't understand how to do that. And going out there with a measuring tape for the whole thing, if I have to do that, I will do that. But I think there's probably an easier way. So if anybody's really good at math, let me know. Okay, number 3, main pollinator garden. I still need some assistance to move some things around. I can probably get it all done myself. But if anybody had some time on a kind of a nice day, we got couple nice days coming up. You could send me an email or you could send me a Microsoft Teams text or chat. And I would let people know the days that I was trying to do it because it's not complicated. It's just moving some things from under the sheltered area over into the main garden up against the beds. On the number 4, John Lambert Trail, we're getting a bunch of help from Karen and Eleanor in the library because I tried a lot to find things out about John Lambert, and apparently he's still alive, which is kind of cool. And so they're helping me find different kinds of materials that when we do put information up about updates on the trail work, that we can tell people why, who that person is. I think that's kind of important because that's, part of that person's legacy, that in some way that they helped the college. And it sounds like John Lambert wore a lot of hats here and did a lot for BCC. And I think people should know that. I've now purchased the marker paint to go east to west on marking on the trees for the blazing. The ones that go from west to east are white, and these ones are going to be sort of a off-white turquoise color. Number 5, wish list. We separated wish list into necessity stuff at the top and then pure like wish we had this thing for Green Team. So I'm working on that with Cody, and you guys will see it when it gets closer to done. And that's also because the budget time is coming up. And that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Roberta, for the update on all the work that you do and all the good work that you do for the Green Team. Tina, I love your comment that you were a student of John's. Is there anything that you can share with us about him? Even if it's just something you randomly remember.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So I remember I took environmental ecology, I believe, with him. Just really inspirational, really well, him and George. I was students of him and George, and oh my goodness, I'd have to have a, you know what I'll do? I'll read is there a group email? I could just I need to collect my thoughts because, other than he was very inspirational.
Yeah, I kind of put you on the spot.
I'll say he walked the talk. Let's just say that. That's a good, and just responsible for, as the environmental education department was responsible for raising awareness to his students and beyond, integral in campus awareness and student awareness, and affected, I'm sure, many people's lives in that way.
Awesome. Tina, that's more than I've ever heard about this guy up
Yeah.
to this point so far. So that's amazing.
And I had his wife who taught English at my high school. So yeah, so much to
Amazing.
say.
Well, if you do want to put together some thoughts, take a few minutes to do that. You can send them to me or anybody else in the Green Team leadership, and we'll make sure they get to Roberta so that
Yes, and Roberta, actually, I will. Yes, I'll, you can email me anytime, and because I'm thinking also of an advocate. So just feel free to email me. And while I'm speaking, is this meeting the third Tuesday of every month? Is that when it is? Generally?
it is basically every 3 weeks. So today is what, the 20th? That means our next meeting will be one on March 12th.
Okay, so that's good to know, because I think I'm gonna make it a point to officially join if there's room. I'd like to do that. So I'll figure that out.
Everyone's
of
always
work.
welcome. It's good to
Okay.
have you, Tina, and your memories of John Lambert. So incredible. So that was our last official agenda item. Our final agenda item is, does anybody else have anything that they would like to talk about? And it looks like Cody got busy in the digital commons there, which is just fine. All right, I'm not hearing anything, so I'm going to adjourn this meeting of the BCC Green Team. I'm clicking